Eric Peterson with Arborist here. Today's weekly business tip is coming to you from my home office. We're going to talk today about having your employees use their personal vehicles on business time. Now, one of the best ways to limit the exposure to spreading an illness within your company is to have employees in their own separate vehicles, right? Now, this eliminates some of the risk of transmitting a disease or virus like this, but it also opens up your business to a bunch of other liabilities. So we want to talk about how to successfully implement a drive your own car policy within your company. There are a couple things we're going to look at. We're going to look at for the employee, we're going to look at for the business, and then some overall best management practices. So for the employee, in the vast majority of states, the personal auto policy is the primary policy that covers any auto accidents that happen. It's the only policy that's going to cover damage to their actual car, so their physical car and everything, the comprehensive in collision. Their liability limit, obviously then, therefore, is super important if it's the only policy that's going to take care of them when they're driving their personal vehicles. So that's what the employee needs to think about. On the business side of it, most standard business policies, business auto policies, do not have coverage when an employee drives a non-owned vehicle. In this case, the employee's vehicle is owned by the employee. It's not owned by the business. So you have to add coverage for non-owned auto. This is a standard endorsement, and most policies then put it on, but it is an option, and you make sure that you have that coverage. Now, your business policy does not and will not be able to provide physical damage for their vehicle again. So the comprehensive in collision cannot be put onto your business auto policy for your employees. So a few management best practices here. First off, just like anything with the drivers, you got to know the driving record of the employee that you're having drive for you. If they're using their own vehicle, it's just as important as it is when they're driving your vehicles. I would suggest get a copy of that employee's personal auto insurance policy. First of all, to make sure that they have it. Second of all, to understand what limits they are. Build in a requirement within your company that you have a minimum liability limit that you need to have. Now, it varies state to state depending on what the Wrongful Death Act is in your state, but we recommend a minimum of $500,000 of personal liability that your employees should cover or should have to make sure that you're covering the bare minimum on a wrongful death case. You should decide whether your company is going to pay for repairs or deductibles if there is a breakdown or an accident that happens on the job. Companies can go either way on this, but if they're using their personal vehicle for the job, a lot of company owners that we talk to feel responsibility to provide cover or pay for some of those things. Also, you definitely need to decide how you're going to reimburse your employee. Are you going to just use a straight IRS mileage reimbursement, or are you going to come up with a new calculation that works better for your company? When you have those questions figured out, create the actual written policy. So these are some topics and things that you can do to help minimize your exposure to transmitting a virus within the cab of a truck by having your employees drive their own personal vehicles for the job. If you want a copy of the Arborist's MVR guidelines, that's to see who can qualify to be a driver, just send me an email. We can get you a copy of those guidelines that you can use to implement this policy in your business. So hopefully everyone's remaining safe, and we all will make through this together in a short bit of time, and we can go back to our normal work days as we had before. So stay safe, be well, talk to you soon.